By doing the exact opposite of what she was sending her patients to do, they completely in 1 week stabilized their glucose levels. At that time, and I truly believe that she didn't know she was recommending a ketogenic lifestyle. She just came to the conclusion that, okay, these is the things you have to remove. These are the carbohydrates that you have to include. And, you stay stable with the protein and the fats, and that's it. And when I came back from that trip and I tried this with my mom, that's when she reversed her type 2 diabetes. And then I said, this is it.
Welcome to the Protecting Your Nest podcast. Have you ever stopped to consider why some people seem to achieve success with ease while others struggle to make progress? It may seem like a mystery, but the truth is that your success in life is not accidental. There are reasons behind every accomplishment, and understanding these reasons can greatly improve your chances of reaching your goals. Life has given us these clues, and if we know them, the chances of success will be much higher. Today, I've invited a guest who will expose us to some of the clues that will make our journey to success a little easier. And that guest is Donald Vega, PhD. Dr. Vega is a registered dietitian, strength and conditioning specialist, and lifestyle mentor based in beautiful Costa Rica. He has about 25 years of clinical experience in metabolic health promotion, founder of Kilosophy, which was established with a purpose to reverse metabolic disease through a free, fit, happy, and healthy society. He's authored a great book, The Science of Losing Weight. We'll have a link to that book in the video notes. And he specializes, of course, in low carb, keto, and carnivore lifestyles, and has been in nutritional ketosis since 2011. And I really appreciate him coming and spending some time with us today on the podcast. Dr. Vega, welcome to the podcast.
Hi, Tony. This is an honor and truly to be able to share with your audience this experience that we have had throughout the years, and maybe, just maybe, help them. And I'll qualify my comment, maybe if they want, they can take a step forward into their freedom, and really honored. Thank you for the invitation.
Yeah, and thank you. Great way to start the conversation because it is a partnership. I was just having a conversation with a team within my health system, Advocate Health, working on the food pharmacy, and we were talking about how important it is for our patients. We can help them get food, but man, it's a partnership to make sure they prepare the food, eat the food, and expose that food to their family. So it's really a partnership, and I hope everybody who takes the time to listen to our voices will partner with us as we help them along their way. So I kind of gave a little taste of who you are, but I know you do more than just talk about low carb, keto, and carnivore. So any other things about you you'd like to share with my audience to get us started?
Well, yeah, as you said, the purpose is what moves me. And this all started back in 2001 with my mom reversing her type 2 diabetes that she had been diagnosed at that time for 15 years. And she did that doing the exact opposite of what I was learning in school, in nutrition school. It was kind of interesting because, I was in the middle of nutrition school, so I had to make a decision whether I would stay with the norm or challenge myself by doing this, which was not easy at all. Attending classes, listening to what the teachers had to say, accepting it for the test, passing the test with whatever they wanted me to say, and then move as quickly as possible to do my thing after I graduated. So it all started with her and her experience in losing 89 pounds in 9 months. And she reversed her type 2 diabetes in 2 months only after 15 years. So that moved me to investigate and do some research on the different aspects that would prove that people could get better. And of course, we all have been taught on nutrition and exercise. Those are the primary focus of any intervention or most interventions. And then I started to find different uh, authors that were scientists at the time, and they were achieving great success with their patients. So, for example, I started to study, and I actually have the book right in front of me, Body Electric by Robert O. Becker, who is a scientist who started to figure out how electromagnetism affects our lives and how the Earth's poles, we can benefit from that poles and then start to lower inflammation, and how you can sleep better, lose weight when you expose to the right electromagnetic frequencies and avoid the bad electromagnetic frequencies. And then I said, wow, this electromagnetism has to be in my toolbox to be effective, because if this guy focuses his life on finding information about electromagnetism, excluding everything else, and he has results, this is very powerful. And we know that exercise and nutrition, of course, they are very powerful. But and then this pieces started to fall like a domino effect, and then I went through some of the experts in different areas. I think we will go through them, but just to make a quick comment, I ended up finding at least 10 what we call biological keys of health. These keys that open the door of health. They are not only one or two, they are 10. So sleep, sun exposure, electromagnetism, mindset, hydration, breathing, exercise, cold thermogenesis, stress management, which is a huge one, and finally, nutrition. So going through these different experts, I found that each expert on their field were achieving great success by doing just that. So what I did was putting all these different experts together in a system, which we call the 10 biological keys of health. And at the end, that's what we do every day with our patients. We educate them on how to implement all these 10 biological keys of health and remove from their minds that they will start a diet or they will do exercise and diet, because we know that it kind of works.
That's right.
Right? Yeah. But long term, the results are not that great. We every conference that I go to, for example, we just went to low carb cruise.
That's right.
We spent some time together, and even though people are very excited to get healthy, most of them are not very healthy, and they do low carb and carnivore and keto. But sometimes things don't look to go in the right direction. So what our experience have been is that when you take control of all these aspects, biology starts to function properly. So that's basically what I could say about your question.
Yeah, I think that's a great answer. And I really sympathize with you. When I went and got my master's in nutrition, I had the same kind of moment of reflection, because a lot of the messages that we had learned on our own were not necessarily aligned. So and as a family doctor with some obesity training as well, every 3 months or so, I have to answer 25 questions to do my longitudinal board maintenance.
Okay.
And man, I tell you, and I have to every time I had to look at those questions, and they are not always aligned with what I believe is true. And so I have to answer it, like you said, the way you are expecting to answer it.
Right.
And but what I love about my nutrition training is I had not learned about the things like grounding and other things that deal with the electrical world the body's electrical world that I had not considered.
Mhm.
And what I love about that is that now you have a path to open your mind to different things. And as you have suggested, you had these experts who were very focused in a certain area. You saved yourself a little time and you learned from them. and
Right.
and I just really think that people, particularly who listen to podcasts or watch YouTube videos, are really putting themselves in a position for success because they're continuing to learn, and then they can kind of test what works. Now you tested, you did it, you clearly ended up in a low carb space. Was there anything in particular that really struck your was it just the research seemed to be overwhelming? What made you decide to move in that direction versus another direction like low fat?
Well, I was going into the low fat direction with school, with nutrition school.
Yeah, yeah.
But what really changed everything, I have heard books here. I was, as you said, I used to be a strength and conditional specialist. I uh, quit doing that on 2019 because I wanted to dedicate my life to the purpose, which is, passing this information to as many people as possible. So if I had to be in the gym with one client 1 hour, that would prevent me from reaching probably, I don't know, 10,000 if I recorded a podcast in that same hour. So I
That's
had to
right.
make a decision. But I was training in San Diego on Czech Institute where I got all my degrees in kinesiology. And I met about, or I met Dr. Schwarzbein, who was an endocrinologist who she discovered, self-discovered, that it didn't make any sense to approach type 2 diabetes with a high carb nutrition or diet. And then she tested it with her patients once she realized it. And she told her, okay, let's do this. You're going to go back to your home. You're going to measure your blood glucose 6 times a day before and after breakfast, before and after lunch, and before and after dinner. And please write down your results and then come back next week so we can have a discussion. She did that when she finally realized that it didn't make any sense what she was doing because she was not achieving any success with her patients. They were getting worse and worse and worse. So everybody came back, but the thing is that she told them, okay, I'll give you permission to have a couple of eggs and maybe a strip of bacon. And when you go to lunch, you can have some beef and maybe a salad and some non-starchy vegetables. So you're going to repeat that same thing during the dinner time. And please come back next week. Okay, her hair almost fell off when she saw the results because by doing the exact opposite of what she was sending her patients to do, they completely in 1 week stabilized their glucose levels. At that time, and I truly believe that she didn't know she was recommending a ketogenic
Mm-hmm.
lifestyle.
Mm-hmm.
She just came to the conclusion that okay, these is the things you have to remove. These are the carbohydrates that you have to include, and you stay stable with the protein and the fats, and that's it. And when I came back from that trip and I tried this with my mom, that's when she reversed her type 2 diabetes. And then I said, this is it. I mean, what else could you try with the rest of your patients? At that time, my clients, because I was not a dietitian at that time, with my clients in personal training exercise routines. What else can I try when I saw the results? It's not that somebody told me, I saw them in front of me with my mom. And then everything changed. This is the path I will follow. I didn't know about keto at that time. In
That's right.
2011, I made a specialization in nutrition for uh, autism and attention deficit disorder. And one of the recommended interventions was a keto diet. And then I said, what is this keto diet? It apparently they're having great results. So I started studying about that, and voila, it's the same thing that I have been doing with my mom and my patients and
That's right.
kind of applying in my life. And that at that year, 2011, I started full keto. And that was the reason why I completely changed my mind, because I
That's
saw
nice.
the real
You
results.
saw the
Yeah,
results. And I
definitely.
think a lot of people will see results. And I encourage anybody who's hearing our voice today, um, let's do the experiment. If you are concerned about the things that people say about low carb or keto, and certainly carnivore, at this point in your life, if you have insulin resistance or diabetes, that may be the most important thing from a health perspective that you need to fix first. There may be other things people tell you to worry about. Those things, however, even if they were true and they're not, saturated fat, cancer, and all these things are not as important as reversing insulin resistance. So let's fix that first. And the meter and or the continuous glucose meter is the most effective way to give quick feedback about what you should and shouldn't eat. Eat the things that don't raise your blood sugar, and don't eat the things that do. It's very simple. It's not a magical thing.
Right.
A fifth grader understands that. So let's think about your book, The Science of Losing Weight. And I always like when I have a guest with a book to just give a high level, what do I learn if I buy your book? How do you approach the teaching so that when people walk away from this episode, they'll know what they'll be consuming when they get your book?
Okay. Is a complete transformation on lifestyle. As I said before, we teach, and that's the primary focus of the book. After I tell some of the facts that led standard nutrition the way it is, because I go through a couple of chapters on the history of this. Then I start on the mindset first, how 83.3% of your results depend on your mindset. So that's the first chapter. I have a book over there. It says, the title is Start with Why. Why you want to do this? And it can't be losing weight. If your focus is losing weight, you're not going to make it. You have to be completely immersed in your process, because there's some emotional gain that you will get. So the mindset is where I started, because I got a neurolinguistic programming degree as well. So I'm really big into that. So this is the reason why I'm wearing these couple bands, because this is something we teach our patients so they can start to program themselves, their nervous system into new habits. So I go into different routines and things you have to do to start changing your mindset and identify why would you self-sabotage, because that's what all people do. And once you find that and figure it out, then you can reprogram it. And then I go through all the teachings on how to implement these 10 different aspects, which is just going back to our forefathers.
Yes.
And the reason why we are sick right now has to do with, of course, the way we are eating, which has nothing to do with the way we used to eat before the industrial revolution and the creation of all these processed and ultra processed foods. But after the artificial light was invented, there's a correlation of how our health started to go down, and I can go into that a little bit.
Yeah.
And so it is a treat of how we take 10 different steps, which is not the success leaves clues that I think we will go through them. It's completely other thing. The 10 different keys of health and how you easily can implement them. And the one that probably is more difficult for you to implement, that's probably the one that you have to work on implementing right at the beginning, because if you're not getting the results, it's because you're not following some steps. And if you read something on the book that is shocking to you, and you say, I would never do that. It's impossible that I could do that. Okay, that's probably the thing you have to implement the most, and probably the results that you will get will be in that direction. I'll tell you a story. We had a medical doctor. He's an OBGYN, and he came to us because he wanted to lose weight. Bad focus. we
Right.
we found out that right at the beginning. Okay, we said you need to change that. You need to achieve a higher purpose, not the weight. Secondly, he came and he completely avoided all the education, because we put our patients through 4.5 hours of videos where we teach the exact same material that is on the book, these 10 things that they need to change, and we tell them how to change them. He didn't do any of that. I have this Success Leaves Clues lecture that I give every new patient on Thursday night. So, for example, this week on Thursday, I gave this lecture for 43 patients, new patients this week. And every week, every new patient has to go through Success Leaves Clues, because that's where I tell them you don't have to go through all the curve of learning. People have done that before you. All our previous patients that have been successful have taught us the path to success. So I tell them that on that first and only lecture that I give them. And the first thing I tell them, there are 5 things you have to do to achieve success in our program. First one, you have to study the 4.5 hours of material before your first appointment with the nutrition, with the dietitian.
Wow.
The second one is you have to study the 4.5 hours of video material before your first appointment with the dietitian. The third one is you have to study the 4.5 hours of video material before your first, and then I go on the fourth and the fifth, which are the exact same thing. I need to point to a fact that is, if you don't study this, you're not going to be successful, because you will come with the mindset that I am doing a diet and exercise, probably, but mainly a diet. It's not going to work. Well, he didn't do that. He didn't show up for this lecture. And at the end, we can track the progress of our patients in the system that you use so they can study on video. We can see, okay, this has studied 92% of the whole material, or 100%, or only 10%. This guy didn't study anything. So, of course, he didn't lose any weight, and he was complaining. And then we had the facts, and we could, show him. But he was mad at us because we told him that if he didn't fix his sleep patterns, he would never, ever achieve success, because he had tried until that point many times keto, and we were not going to make any difference if he didn't move to the next step, which was correcting his sleeping patterns.
That's right.
He got mad at us. He said, I'm a doctor. I have to see patients during the night. I can't. And he was using some sleeping pills. So we said, we can't help you. I mean, a diet is not going to fix your problem. So at the end, implementing everything in the system is important. Not 1 or 2 or 3. The 10 different keys of health are the ones that have to be implemented at the same time, because one of those can be the roadblock.
Yeah, well, I think I will have at some point I'll write an obesity book, and it'll be very similar to what you're doing, which is, let's think about those other things that we need to do to be successful. And then I'll also speak about the barriers to achieving those things and how we can overcome them. But so you had me at hello when and for those who are checking this out, we're not really we're going to spend some time talking about the topic that we heard you talk about on the low carb cruise,
Mm-hmm.
dealing with you know the clues that are left out here for us to use to find success. But
Mm-hmm.
so that's why I think the book will be really handy for people, because it'll go into a practical tool to help people. Let's find these 10 areas I need to work on.
Mm-hmm.
What I love about that is that you don't have to be just like an athlete. If I'm not really, I mean, Shaquille O'Neal was never a good free throw shooter, but he had to work on his free throws.
Right.
But man, he was so good at those other areas of the sport. So you don't have to be expert. Um, in fact, let me ask you this first. When people look at you, they see this muscular, athletic looking guy. The average person I see on the south side of Chicago does not look like you.
Mm-hmm.
So if a person's going to be metabolically healthy, um, how far do they need to take this physical physique thing to be healthy? How important is that for you? What
Okay.
would you say to them?
Okay. That's a great question because I have a goal and I want to be 100 kilograms with 6% body fat. I'm currently, because we just came back from a trip to Europe. I lost weight, which I don't like. Opposite to what most people want. I lost a couple of kilograms because I couldn't work out because we were in an
Right.
intense schedule going from city to another city to another city. And I lost this couple of kilograms, which led me to 1993. I was 95. My goal is 100. But this is a goal that I have because I want to show my son that at 49, at 50, which I will be next year, you can be and you can have whatever you want if you work hard enough to have it. And this is a key part. My goal right now is to gain some muscle mass. Before pandemic, my goal was to be at 83 kilograms. I don't know the amount in pounds, but because my surfing weight for my when I'm paddling out is 83 kilograms. But now that's not my goal anymore. So it really depends on your goal. What I can tell you is that whether you want to be muscular or not, you should have low body fat or normal body fat because
Right.
fat is very inflammatory.
That's right.
The excess fat that we have, as we both heard on one of the lectures on low carb cruise, when you have excess fat in some kind of big fat cells, because we can have small fat cells or big fat cells, when you have this fat accumulation in big fat cells, the bigger they get, the more they move away other big cells from circulation. And then these cells that have been moved away from their primary source of blood, they send some molecules as a signal to grow some blood uh, vessels to feed them.
That's
And
right.
in the process, this inflammation is not a good thing for us, metabolically speaking. So you should have low body fat in terms of normal. So the way we work with our patients is 10 to 20 in men and 15 to 25 in women. Okay. I go low. I'm coming back from the trip. I was at 9. I'm normally at 6%. But that doesn't really matter if you are on the target, which are those numbers I just said. What I can tell you is that being, as I told you, we just came back from a trip to Europe and we visited with my son because he wanted to see Mona Lisa painting at the Louvre Museum in Paris.
Yes.
And it was amazing to see all these sculptures. They were all fit. And it is not somebody idealizing fit people. Is the thing is that probably during those ages, people were all fit. That was not
Hmm.
something hard to achieve. So
Hmm.
again, the proposal of the book is doing some things that will make you fit independently of if you have a lot of less muscle mass. One thing that I can tell you, which is very interesting, is that we know that there's a good correlation on health and muscle mass. Okay. But at the same time, the supercentenarians are not that muscular. So at the end, being fit is not a thing of being muscular, but I would say having this low accumulation of inflammatory fat, which is a metabolic disruptor.
Yeah, it is. And again, keywords, we talk about keywords, inflammation and insulin resistance, but man, anything that's going to increase those two things, and fat will certainly do that, we should be cautious of.
Yeah,
So I really encourage those who are checking us out to make sure they uh, get that tool in their hands to help them walk through those different 10 things that they need to focus on. For purposes of the balance of our discussion, I want to um, talk a little bit about those clues that success uh, leaves, that success requires us to address. And on the low carb cruise, you talked about the first, and it was a very obvious thing, but it was about we must assume responsibility
right.
for our lives. I think that's so important that we we don't demonize people. We don't give them a hard time for struggling, because struggle is normal, but we still got to be responsible at some point. So talk a little bit about the message you were trying to share with that.
Absolutely. Well, this goes back to this lecture that I give or teach our patients the first week, because I think that's the most important thing. They enter the system and the process understanding that there are rules, not that I created, because what we did is we did some reverse engineering. We figured out the things that successful patients did other than just applying the system, uh, and we found that repeatedly they did 10 things, and those are the 10 biological the 10 uh, uh, clues of success. So this could be a 1.5 hour lecture, which I just did a couple of weeks, no, 3 weeks ago. It could be a 45-minute lecture, which that's the one that I do, or
That's
it
right.
could be a 5-minute lecture. So I'll go with the 5 minutes. We don't have much time. Uh, Being responsible for your results is something that is, I can't stress enough the importance of changing the mindset that 84% of people have to blame other people because of what they get. Uh, a psychologist back in 1950 discovered that there was this thing that happened to our society, and it basically initiation rituals that we used to have in tribes, which don't happen anymore in cities. They would kidnap the kid at certain age, 10, 11, 12 years old. They would kidnap it from their safety in their house and their mom's contact, and they would throw them into some rituals that were strength generators. So they would have to survive. And how would they survive? They would have to figure it out. And it was all their own effort. Nobody came from the tribe to help them. So, what would that do? That would create a member of the tribe that was powerful because they knew how to make it through this ritual. So they became some a member that adds to the tribe, not a dead weight that the tribe has to be pulling all the time. That's where we become responsible. That's where tribal societies used to make members responsible for everything, but that doesn't happen anymore. So everything goes back to if I'm lucky enough to have a my parents, my dad, who teaches me that, not just by saying it, but by doing it. And I see it and I learn it because I see it implicitly. Then I become a responsible adult. But as I said, initiation rituals don't happen anymore. So 84%, according to statistics, of members in a society, civilized society, they tend to go back to their mind where mom is taking care of my problems. And if everything that I'm experiencing is not the way it should be, it's my mom's responsibility to solve it for me. That's being 12 or 13 years old. So most people are still 12 or 13 years old because they haven't learned this. Why can we get, or how can we get? I follow a lot of Tony Robbins' work. I have been to one of his seminars, Unleash the Power Within. And he said, if I didn't have the the relationship that I had with my mom, which was really something very wild. She would throw some cleaning liquid into his throat just because she was mad at him, things like that. I wouldn't be the man that I am proud of being right now. So difficult things create strength, and then strength people make things easier. But when you are not traversing a path where things are taught to you in a way that you have to solve them and everybody is solving them for you, then you are completely powerless. And those are our patients. And those are the people, 84% of people listening to this podcast. So this should come to a aha moment where if you find yourself frequently blaming others, then the first thing you have to do to change is take complete responsibility of your results from now on. And there's no way around it. Actually, I have this, which I didn't take to the cruise, and that I use with my patients. And here it is. Your results will be in direct proportion to your own efforts. And we can see it by these Newton's design balls. Small efforts, small results.
That's right. That's right.
Huge efforts. Can you see the difference?
That's right. Huge difference.
Also, if you do something that is temporary, like most people do a diet, you start massively at the beginning, but once you stop the effort, guess what happens to the results? They disappear.
They disappear.
So I think that's very graphic, a very graphic way to explain this.
I agree.
Talked about.
Yeah, and I tell you, it's a lot of people listening, and including myself. I think as parents, we've done so much. We wanted to make sure our babies were given all the opportunities, and
Right.
and I do see differences in parenting, even on my blog, and how some kids were, getting jobs at a young age and earning things, and some weren't. And I just think that there's a balance. There's no perfect answer, but I agree that if they never struggle, if they never experience what it's like to really work hard for something and not be coddled, and we call it protecting our nest. And if we have them in our nest and we overprotect them, we're probably harming them.
Absolutely.
And I think that awareness that you just gave is really important as people are kind of hearing us talk. And I really appreciate that, because again, those are some blind spots I had to learn about. Now, let me go to the next clue you mentioned. And it was that one that talked about not the importance of, closing your mind to criticism. Just when we recorded this, for those who are checking, we won't release this for a couple of weeks afterwards, but I was just in the United States. We were watching Bronny James struggle in basketball as he started his career in the summer league for the NBA. And they were, they just given this guy, but this is the thing. And I'm sure his parents had a lot to do with this, and maybe the teams, the staff, but he finally had 2 games in a row where he overcame that criticism. So when I thought about this concept, I thought about Bronny James, but
Mhm.
I think it's important for people to hear your thoughts on this concept, and because it seems so hard to close your mind to criticism. I'm not even sure how he did it. So what's your thoughts? What would you share with my audience on that topic?
Okay, this clue comes back again from figuring it out from our patients. They just were like robots and nothing's going to disturb my effort. Okay, so exploring on this, I asked, because I lead a team of 10 dietitians, and I asked them, what's the primary reason why people quit our system? I want to know because I need to solve that. And they said, the criticism from their families.
Mm,
Can you believe that?
that's great.
I mean, the ones that are supposed to
Yeah.
support us are the ones that are criticizing our efforts. So I started to dig into this and the reasons why we are so susceptible to criticism. And here's the reason why. In tribes, our survival depends on numbers. And when we are surrounded by other people that can protect us, that means that we have security. The less the number, the more our liability to become a prey. And if we are expelled from the tribe, because that's what they used to do with people that would do wrong things in the tribe, they wouldn't kill them, they would expel them because there was no way that they could survive. We have that ingrained in our
Mm,
system.
yeah.
We know that we depend on other people. So when we know that we are the average of the 5 people that we surround ourselves the most, because that has been proven,
That's right.
then, and if I just told you that the primary reason why people quit our system is because families criticism to their efforts, and if you are surrounded by your family and those are the ones who will criticize you, so guess what, whenever you hear a comment from somebody who's condemning your efforts, then you don't take it as it is. Your biology goes into this at a visceral level and it interprets that you are being expelled because you're being criticized. You're being expelled from your tribe. And losing your tribe means that you will die. So, what happens to people when they are criticized? Some, and I hope more people after they hear this will do it more often, but some, they just, they get some strength and they say, I don't mind, keep talking, say whatever you want, I know what I want and I will get it. Not most people do that. Most people just, they will do whatever they are told to do because that means that you are a good member of the tribe and you will be kept in the tribe, which means security for you. So the moment you do that, even though you're not getting your results, you are at least safe. But that would be valuable if we were in 1900s. Excuse me,
Right.
in maybe uh, at the year 1000 or the year 1, when you really depended on tribe for survival, which is not anymore the case. So closing your mind means that the more you focus on changing your results and the more that's going to be different from your current state, which is the average of the people you surround with, the more you will be separating from your tribe in terms of results, the more they will attack you, and that's a law. So I would say let's use the law in our favor. If you This is the law. uh, Criticism is going to be in proportion to the size of your dreams. Okay? Big dreams, they will come or they will be followed with huge criticism. Small dreams, that's going to bother
Mm,
anyone in your tribe, so nobody was going to say anything. So let's use the law in our favor. If you are being criticized all the time, by law, that means that whatever you're about to achieve is really something incredible for your state and for your being and for your life and for your purpose. So that should add more energy as a confirmation that all this criticism is just the confirmation that you're on the right path. You should worry if nobody criticizes you, because by law, that means that you're not targeting something that is really going to change your life.
Wow. I love that. That's very reassuring, right? That it's almost like going back to this idea the struggle is expected, but yeah, it's nice to know that, yeah, this is my moment. And sometimes when I speak in front of people, I really try to say, okay, what am I trying to achieve here? Here's my opportunity to be on stage and to give information that may change lives. And if it's easy, I'm probably not giving my best effort.
Right.
So
Right.
I love that. I'm gonna ask you one more. And I think during the cruise, there were maybe 10 uh, clues or so. Was there about 10?
Right.
So we'll give one more. And I want to say to my audience that I'll share a link. I know that the low carb cruise did share your presentation.
Mm-hmm.
So I'll make sure to share that link because I want them to get all of them. But I just want to kind of introduce it. And I think the last thing I'll probably ask you to comment about, I think I'm going to go to the one that talks about massive action.
Right.
I just find that in my life, um, I used to be, I just wouldn't act fast enough. It could be as a leader, need to go talk to a doctor, and I just would, I'll get to it.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't really want to talk to the doctor, but I need to talk to the doctor because there was some issue that we needed to address. And so I know massive action taking is important, but talk a little bit about that clue.
Yeah. There's a book by a lady whose name is Robbins. Can't remember the name right now. She talks about the 5 second rule. And the 5 second rule is that your subconscious is always sending you signals of on what to do. But our ability to self sabotage comes after that signal. So you tell yourself, I need to do this. And immediately, because you want to achieve comfort and you want to struggle a lot to, because that's our nervous system priority, keep us alive.
That's
So
right.
the
That's right.
the the, the path of least energy means survival, but not necessarily being successful.
That's right.
So the moment that something comes to your mind and you have to do it, don't give yourself more than 5 seconds. 5 seconds. And she came to this realization because she was watching a rocket launch, and she started to hear 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, massive
Right.
action.
Right.
And then she said, well, I could change my life if I would apply this to, I want to go to the gym to do some exercise. But it's too cold outside. I'll just roll over and keep sleeping. No, 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 no. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go, just go,
That's right.
and don't look back. There was a research. I can't remember. I think it was in the University of Pennsylvania. Was it where they had two groups? This is the group A, same characteristics. Group A, this is what you have to do, and just go do it. Group two, this is your goal. It's a hard one, the same as this one. Just go do it. But if you find it kind of difficult, then you can use your plan B. Well, guess how many of the members of group one achieved the difficult goal? Everybody. Guess how many of the group two achieved their goal? No one, because they had a plan B. So never have a plan B, because that automatically at a subconscious level takes away all the energy, because already that you're not going to be able to achieve it. So
Oh,
don't have a
wow.
plan B, and just to apply the Robbins rule of 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go.
Okay.
Don't
Right.
look
Right.
back. Yeah.
That's amazing. Well, I love that. And as we're kind of wrapping up, I wanted to, I'm thinking about all the things you're doing to help people, and certainly want you to help yourself too while you're doing it. So I'll kind of just give you my, how you plan to protect your nest
Mhm.
question. So when you think about the next 12 months, what areas in your life, see, again, people will look at you and say, oh, this guy has it all figured out, but we all are working on something. So for you,
Absolutely.
what's that thing you're working on?
Okay, I'm working on my artist branch of my brain, which I divide in three different areas: singing, playing guitar, and playing the piano.
Yeah.
I have always wanted to learn how to play the piano. And I know that these moments where you are completely mindful, which means just putting your mind into something and forget about everything, these three things I know they could be great for me because that's a way I can grow and at the same time being meditating without being meditating. But it is mindfulness.
Okay.
So learning to play the piano, getting better at the guitar, and also singing. It has been proven that when actually tribes used to sit together and sing, that creates oxytocin, which is the relationship hormone that immediately starts to lower the cortisol levels, which is the stress hormone. So singing and getting together with people to sing. My wife actually gave me a karaoke set for Father's Day a month ago.
Nice.
So I turn it on every time I can, even though I am not good singing yet, but I will. So that's my goal for the next 12 years,
I love it,
months.
man. So I just like having, my wife's kind of learning to play the piano. I said, well, you're not quite Bella of Steak and Butter Gang yet, but we'll
Yeah,
we'll get there, you know. So
yeah.
yeah, and I really appreciate all of that. So as we wrap up, what's the best ways to obviously get your book, any support you provide as you coach people, and any other resources you want to share with my audience?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, my material right now on social uh, media is in Spanish because I'm from Costa Rica, as you said at the beginning. The only thing that I have in English is the book, which is on Kindle and on paperback on Amazon. So you just type The Science of Losing Weight, which, by the way, the title of that book, it doesn't do the justice to the content. It's
Hmm.
just a catch that I wanted
Yeah,
because everybody want to lose weight.
that's right.
If
That's
I
right.
would name the book The Science of Being Healthy, nobody would buy it.
Right.
But I promise you, that's the science of being
That's
healthy.
right. That's
And
right.
in the middle, you're going to lose some weight, the
That's right.
excess weight you have. So that's the way they can
That's fair.
go
And that's
to the material. Yeah.
I love it. And again, I think weight loss, as a guy who does obesity medicine, I think it's complex, and I think that's why we need resources like yours to remind people it's not just follow this diet; it's way deeper than that. And for some people, it's just their mental health and how they look at themselves, having self-limiting beliefs and things like that. So I really appreciate all the work you're doing. I look
Thank
forward
you.
to continuing to work alongside you as we spread this message, and just thank you for carving out a little time today to hang out with us on the podcast. I really appreciate it.
No, absolutely. The honor is mine. And if we can keep this conversation and, in the next episode, I would like to go into some things that I'm currently learning and incredible things.
Yeah, well, I think that'll be cool. I do
Yeah,
like part two, so let's plan to do that, my friend.
absolutely. Thank you very much.
All right. So thank you. And for my audience, today, Dr. Vega gave us some valuable insights on how to navigate our path to success. Success is often seen as a mysterious and elusive concept, but our guest has shedded some light, some much needed light, to help us better understand what some clues are. And I encourage you guys to learn more And I'll again share his book and the link to the low carb cruise where he went into more detail about this concept. So pay attention to those clues, guys, so that they can help navigate you to your goals. Remember, success is not a destination, but a journey. And with the right tools and mindset, you'll be able to unlock your full potential and reach new heights. So, as usual, I really appreciate each and every one of you for coming to this episode of the Protecting Your Nest podcast. And until we do it again, continue to be safe, be well, and continue to protect your nest.